4:00 p.m. on Thursday, December the 5th, 2024. And I am walking along the river. It's been a long time since I walked along the river. In winter, Peg. But I'm enjoying it. It's very cold today, but I'll survive. Because I kind of have to. But at least it's not too breezy where I am, so it's more manageable. For those of you who live here, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So, what am I working through as I walk? Well, one of the things I'm working through is my sense of self-respect, self-love, where I am getting closer and closer to the point where if someone doesn't want to accept me for who I am, they can just go on their merry way. I was going to say something else, but I'm trying to keep it clean. I've come to a much more clear awareness of the kind of person that I am and the kind of life that I've lived up until this point. And one of those areas is how I'm the kind of person that will have higher expectations on myself than anyone else will around me. Seriously. And it stems from growing up in an environment where I felt the pressure of perfectionism. And so anyone who comes into my life now who puts any sort of expectation on me to behave a certain way, to do things a certain way, that is not in alignment with who I am. It's different when it comes to a preference of how I like to do things, but when it comes to who I am, that's a little triggering for me. Because I've come a long way from where I used to be. I know. In an episode a while back, Marshall had touched on this about being something for everybody, or essentially being what everybody else needs you to be, all the while losing a sense of who you really are, being lost in this world of multiple personalities and behaviors that don't really belong to you. So as I've come back to an awareness of who I am and what I'm all about, I guess it's maybe a sort of indicator to see how far I've come when other people come into my life and I have a choice to make. Do I bend myself again to fit into their mold? Do I try to be something that I'm really not in order to make this person okay with me, to make them happy with me, to make them less inclined to judge me or be critical of me? what I'm finding is I'm less and less likely to do that these days, where I'm like, cool, that's how you want to be. I respect your opinion and what you're saying, but we don't really need to hang out together. We don't need to continue this relationship. I'm already hard on myself enough as it is. I don't need a second person to add to that, is what I'm trying to say. In no way am I saying that I'm resisting good things or resisting change or anything positive in my life. I'm going to keep growing and learning, shifting and changing, as I have been up until now. And the big thing that I've been learning to do is to love and accept myself despite my flaws, my shortcomings, where I'm still growing. If there are people who come into my life who maybe do point things out to me and set certain expectations, but they are loving and accepting of me just as I am, well, that's different. But if I'm getting a vibe off of them that, oh, you're one of those people, oh, you do things that way, oh, I don't agree with that, oh, I don't know if I can hang around you if you do that, oh, I don't think we should talk anymore because of this and this, and I don't like that. Okay, cool, you can set your boundaries. That's fine. Do your thing. I respect that. I'll honor that. But I'm not going to change myself to fit into your idea of how things should be. And I suppose that's something that should be normal, should be understandable. Maybe the other person would be like, well, of course, Ray. Why would I want you to change who you are to fit the way I think things should be? Why are you trying to put that on me? To which I would be like, well, it hasn't been normal for me because my life experience has been to put things on other people whenever I'm uncomfortable or whenever I feel unsafe or I feel judged. I put things on other people to put the attention away from myself. When I say things like, you're so judgmental, you're so critical, why can't you just accept me the way I am? You want to know what I'm really saying? Ray, you're so judgmental. Ray, you're so critical. Ray, why can't you just accept me the way that I am? And if you're listening to this, you're like, okay, who's Ray and who's I and me and what are we talking about here? That's a good question. In one sense, Ray is this physical identity that's been on this earth for 41 years. In another sense, Ray is this spiritual being living in a body for 41 years. In another sense, Ray might be this ego trying to protect and control the experience of this physical body as it travels through life. And the I and the me could refer to the part of me that feels ashamed, guilty, rejected, neglected, isolated, judged, criticized, minimized, stigmatized. The part of me that does not want to be exposed, that does not want to be in a vulnerable place because it doesn't feel safe. So, that's the part of me saying, why can't you just accept me the way I am? And the Ray part of me is the part that is more transcendent, or transcendent beyond that other version of myself that wants to be accepted. The version of myself that is much like a parent to a child. But a parent needs to be loving and supportive to their child, even though they are in a hard place in life. They don't know everything that the parent knows. They just want to be heard, understood, listened to, accepted. And so this is how I must be with my inner child. The inner child who feels the pressure to do things a certain way, to perform a certain way, to not make mistakes, to do his best. That version of myself that is so hungry for approval, for validation, which keeps seeking it from all of these places that it's never going to get them from. Whether it's books, people, music, whatever it is, experiences. Though I suppose it may come through experiences and it may come through people in an indirect sort of way, or books, but it's going to come from God, from the Creator. That's where this validation is going to come from. This sense of who I really am, this sense of acceptance for who I am, for who I am remembering that I am as we peel back the layers of who I am not. I like that. You see, I could just be walking and talking and say stuff like this, and I'll listen to it later on and I'll be like, holy smokes, I said that. But it just flows out of me. It's like I get locked into this headspace where I'm connected to my heart, and the words flow out. And maybe it's the thought that others may or may not ever listen to this. Just my way of processing life and processing what I'm going through, but I don't know. It just works for me. So let's keep going with this. Okay. Peeling away the layers of what I am not. That's what we are doing, as in the infinite beingness that I am, and God in partnership, in in this togetherness, in this union, or approaching union, or maybe union, and in my head I think it's not union yet, but it is still union for real. We are peeling back the layers so that it becomes more clear day by day who I really actually am right now. Not who I'm becoming. Not who you're becoming. I don't think we're becoming anything. We're simply remembering who we already are. And we do that as we peel back the layers of the lies and delusions and tricks that have been played on our minds, where we think we know who we are, where our ego steps in and tries to define who we are and protect that at all costs. No, then we step into this other room, perhaps, that we haven't been in before, where we can go to the windows and look out and see everything. See how it really is. Perhaps like a castle on a hill. All you've known is the inside and different rooms. Or maybe just one of the rooms. But you've never really looked outside before. And then you look outside and you're like, whoa, there's a whole world out there. Wait, that's also kind of me. Perhaps it's time to get out of this house and into this open space that is more representative of who I am than this small, contained, limited, I was going to say castle, but house, place that I've been living in. It's time to get out there. And really remember who I am. And perhaps this is similar to going on a, what are they called? A vision quest, a spiritual journey, where you kind of force yourself out of the house and into a space that is not familiar, yet kind of is, as it reminds you of who you really are. This space where you and I are exposed to things that we're not typically exposed to, perhaps, but which begin reflecting to us something that feels more real and genuine than what we've known up until that point. Kind of like going on a vacation and the experience that we have when doing that. Going on a hike, going on an adventure. Isn't it something how these experiences reveal things to us? Remind us of important things that we may have forgotten because we were so busy with life. Distracted, preoccupied, listening to the noise. I suppose inadvertently because it is subtle. We don't always know it's happening. But it's inevitable if you're not more mindful of your surroundings and what you're listening to, what you're watching, what you're allowing to enter in to your beingness, whether that's your body, whether that's your spirit, into your mind, into your heart. And this is something that I've been considering for quite some time now. As I shared in an earlier episode of, if I don't share it, an earlier walk where I'm thinking about things coming into our hearts through our minds, that our hearts are like a garden and the gate is the mind. The gate into the garden. We could even think of the gate as like existing on top of the garden. I know that's weird, but in a sense that the seeds fall through the gate of the mind and into the garden and grow. Whatever correspond to those seeds. And they produce plants that produce fruit. And the fruit gets to be experienced. It becomes the experience of our lives. And so it is with more focused, maybe. Well, I'll just say with more intention, because that captures everything right there. With more intention, it is with more intention that we make certain that whatever seeds we're allowing through are the kind of seeds that we want to be planted in the garden. And the heart, like the soil, doesn't really know the difference. It'll try to grow whatever falls on it. Whatever enters that soil, it will try to grow. Even if it's garbage, it'll try to produce something from that garbage. So, this, to come full circle, I suppose, when I was talking about being who I am and not being afraid to be who I am, not judging and criticizing myself anymore for being who I am, not allowing others to do that to me in such a way that I change myself to fit into who they think I should be and how they think I should be doing things. This is part of that intentionality as to who I allow into my life and who I don't. Who I allow to speak into my life and who I don't. Because whoever I allow to speak into my life, they're throwing seeds my way. Whether I want that to happen or not. It's just what happens. So why not make it easier on myself, I suppose, to surround myself with people who are going to throw good seeds my way, to grow good things for my life. And so it is vital that we are very aware of and intentional with who we surround ourselves with in our lives. It will make a huge difference in your experience of life. And in a way, we all learn our lesson eventually. If the ones we're surrounding ourselves with are for us or against us, are building us up or tearing us down, it all serves a purpose. But once we can see that and understand the purpose, that perhaps they have been serving by deconstructing who we are, pulling us apart, triggering us, that we can see the purpose in that, and the intention in that is that we heal from these things. We grow, we move beyond these things, we transcend these things. And then look to be vigilant over who we allow into our lives. And we bring people into our lives who will build us up. Doesn't mean there are still those who will trigger us. And they could even be the ones that are close to us. Perhaps it's good to have someone in our lives that can trigger us, because it's still showing us where we need to heal. But as I've learned a little more so recently, when we are working through our traumas and we have come a long way in healing from those traumas, it would appear that it is not in our best interest to re-expose ourselves to the same kind of people or situations or behaviors that led to those initial traumas in the first place. At least not until we're further along in the healing process, because it may just re-traumatize us and take us back to where we were before, and all that work will have been complicated with another layer of trauma. Whew, back in the car. Whew, okay. I gotta warm up now. So to wrap up that thought, when it comes to being intentional about who you surround yourself with, be intentional when it comes to your healing journey from trauma as to who you allow into your life, because certain people or situations may try to place themselves in your life in a way that will detract from your healing journey, hinder it, stall it. Kind of like in a video game, how when you're on your way to the boss, to defeat the boss, there are these smaller, lesser, little enemies along the way who keep you from advancing. But you gotta keep moving and you gotta keep walking. And I guess as in a whatever it's called, in a game where you have a team of people that are with you, those are the ones you keep around you as you move through the level. As you pass all those little distractions and things along the way that will hinder your progress toward the final boss. And in this case, the final boss is the overcoming of that trauma, the healing from that trauma, so that now you can carry the wisdom forward to the next level. And as I referred to in the previous episode, the boss is like the older version of yourself that you must overcome in order to advance. The good news is, you know yourself. And you know what you were once struggling with and weak in. Now when you face the boss, you can overcome the boss because you have now learned to overcome your own weakness, your own struggles. And so you let go of the old version of you that struggled and had those weaknesses. And you move forward in that wisdom and that strength for what's next. And for me, it seems to have a lot to do with perfectionism and accepting myself just as I am. Celebrating the good things, not being distracted by the things that don't feel good enough. I'll leave it at that for now. Thank you for listening. I pray this leaves you inspired and encouraged. And if even just one thing from this helped you in some way, I'm grateful for that. And it was worth sharing this just for that. So, thank you for listening. Be in peace, be in joy, be in love, be grateful, and be inspired, friends.